Good morning, everyone in the team of the NPCC. First of all, I would like to thank the NPCC team for once again giving the opportunity to the PARE to present something on integrated farming. Maybe I would request the audience, I would call it like that. If you have questions during the presentation, to please feel free to ask for the questions. Okay, now with regard to the concept of integrated farming, maybe most of you would be thinking now, what is integrated farming? As such, the concept of integrated farming, it relates to the practice of different types of farming. It relates to the combination of different types of farming. Some people might be using vegetable production coupled with livestock production. Now, the underlying principle behind integrated farming is to enhance upon the productivity of the soil. That is, how best to utilize soil available at the level of the farmer. Now, soil productivity techniques can be through soil fertility enhancement, how to improve soil fertility. Actually, farmers had expressed concern that over the years, over multiple cropping activities across the years, the fertility of the soil has decreased. You would hear farmers say that in Creole, as they tend to say it, la paix faiblit. Now, in Mauritius, being a small insular island, already land is a scarce resource. So there are many farmers who practice maybe monocropping, that is the cropping of only one crop, the plantation activity related to only one crop. In Mauritius, monocropping, we have that through sugarcane. Various farmers will be doing multiple cropping. So based on the season, they would be shifting crops. For one, you have summer crops, you have winter crops. But then there are also farmers who adopt integrated farming. They might be doing some livestock activities together with crop production. Now I have a question for the audience. Why do you think farmers who are doing plantation activities might be engaged in livestock farming? They are well settled in their farming activities. So why do you think they would do livestock farming? Actually, I would rather say that the livestock farming is not necessarily that much of an income generating activity. Anyone would like to share his or her view about why do you think the farmer who is doing crop production, who is producing vegetables, is also doing livestock activities such as the rearing of goat, rabbits, poultry, chicken in parallel? Anyone? Okay. Maybe you don't have that much of knowledge in the agricultural sector. Maybe some of you might have heard about the Ukraine-Russia war. Maybe it would be news to you to know that most of the fertilizers that we import, we import from these countries. That is Russia, the Ukraine. Now, due to the war, what has happened is that the prices of fertilizers have increased. You would hear people have been very vocal. Everywhere people are saying that the price of vegetables are skyrocketing. Okay, now why the price of vegetables are skyrocketing? This is partially due to climate change. and also due to the fact that countries like Russia, Ukraine, they are able to produce fertilizers at very low cost. In economics, we call that they have a comparative advantage in the production of fertilizers. Eventually, what has happened, the price at which we are importing fertilizers, this has increased. The impact being that farmers are having to sell their produce, their vegetables at much higher prices. Now, through integrated farming, what happens is that the byproducts, ce qui est resté quand nous fait l'élevage, we get manure. Manure is some form of natural fertilizer that can be used in the production of fruits, vegetables. That's the whole concept of integrated farming. That is, one activity will supplement another activity. And nowadays we are in the phase of what we call sustainable agriculture. Some of you might be aware that agriculture involves the use of lots of fertilizers, pesticides, weedicides, insecticides, which can cause damage to the environment. So right now, the focus is on strategies to develop sustainable agricultural production, to use natural sources of fertilizers, natural sources to address issues like pest and disease management. So in brief, in a nutshell, what is integrated farming? It relates to activities at the level of the farmer within the farm that complement each other. Livestock complements food crop production. I think there's a question. Okay. Livestock complements food production. The aim being to optimize upon farm resources and to optimize upon farm productivity. Now, I will just to give you actually the idea of this workshop being organized by the NPCC. It is to give an impetus to the innovative ideas of the participants as to how novel concepts, creative concepts, innovative concepts can be put forward to further strengthen the concept of integrated farming. Now, over time, with modernization in the agricultural sector, there are new areas that have been explored in the agricultural sector. Just to give you an overview about areas where integrated farming has been further consolidated. We have, maybe some of you might be aware that farmers tend to produce crops, vegetables, fruits in remote areas, not close to residential. Most of the time, they have issues regarding availability of water. They have issues regarding availability to electricity. They will need electricity very often in greenhouses, in hydroponic units, to be able to operate pumps that will enable the irrigation system to operate. Now, regarding electricity problems, integrated farming implies that now we have incorporated solar panels. We have incorporated solar panels in agriculture. Likewise, to give you further ideas about integrated farming concepts. Now, why I'm giving you such ideas, it is just to feed your brain about the projects, the novel concepts, creative ideas, creative projects that you could put forward at the InnovEd. Poultry and small livestock animals, you've heard of the kai. Maybe some of you would have come across the eggs of the quail, kai, also known as the quail. Okay, You have the eggs that are sold quite costly in supermarkets that are very rich, and even patients suffering from asthma can use quail eggs to support asthma. Other areas of integrated farming is that of value addition, whereby vegetables produced may be subjected to agro-processing, transformational activities in the production of fruits, dehydrated fruits, pickles, dried fruits, jams, and these can be further processed and sold. Right now, to address the issue of climate change, we are having severe, at times, we see that the country is having severe droughts. So another novel technique in the concept of integrated farming is that of rainwater harvesting. Until recently, we have seen aquaponics, renewable energy production. Shortly, what I'll do, I'll give you a pictorial representation of the concepts to help you understand better, to give more food for thought to your imagination. Composting techniques. Nowadays, we are encouraging children, we are encouraging households, institutions to develop composting techniques. Until recently, at the level of my institution, what we did through a project funded by the UNDP, we have tried to, we have developed compost based from sea algae. I repeat that we have developed compost from the sea algae. Upon dehydration and composting techniques, we can produce compost that can be used at the level of the farm by the farmer. Instead of using chemical fertilizers, seaweed compost is a natural form of fertilizer. Vermicomposting, agritourism through landscaping, etc., to attract tourists, agroforestry, and beekeeping. Anyone has an idea how does beekeeping support integrated farming? I see that you're quite at the receiving end. Nobody's trying to interact. Yes, anyone? I have a little question. How do you think beekeeping contributes to the concept of integrated farming? Actually, one serious observation nowadays is that we don't see bees that much. Yeah, I see one answer. Okay, thank you, Varuna. Students, participants can still answer through chat. If I were to say it in Creole, nous pas trouver même mousse miel limite tellement rare. Why we don't see that much of bees? It is because through the use of pesticides, bees tend to be killed. And then bees are a very, very important component of integrated farming in the sense that they do pollination. And pollination is required for fruits to produce. Pollination is required for vegetables to be produced. So bees production is very important. Thank you, Mr. Balgobin. I see that you have said that by producing honey. Yes, honey would be used for supplementary income to the farmer. Okay, we call that vertical integration in the farm. And then bees will support pollination to enhance the yield of the farmer. It contributes to integrated farming. Let's have a look at the emerging trends in integrated farming. I've earlier mentioned about landscaping. There's also the concept of biogas production. I'll show it shortly what I mean by biogas production. Sheltered farming, you've seen greenhouses like aquaponics, hydroponics. All these are concepts in sheltered farming. Backyard hydroponics, aquaponics, aquaculture, biofarming, organic farming currently being promoted by FARE, and compost making. Okay, now what you see in front of you is actually a rainwater harvesting technique. That is when we have droughts, when you know that during the month of December, January, November, February, farmers might be going through severe droughts. Water availability might become an issue. So what they do, they would develop such structures. Actually, I better tell you that there are schemes available at the level of the FARE, at the level of the DBM to promote rainwater harvesting. Now, this is rainwater that is captured that can be used for irrigation. Agroforestry, the picture that you're seeing right now in front of you, it relates to, it is just one concept related to agroforestry, the replantation of trees. Replantation, reforestation, it is part of integrated agriculture. It is part of integrated farming. Why reforestation? Because reforestation creates the microclimate for agriculture. It provides a habitat for bees. It helps in increasing the quality of the soil. It helps building the soil health. Eventually, what will happen when the soil health improves, you'll get better yields. It also helps screening livestock from extreme weather conditions. I'm just trying to give you an idea about agroforestry. Now when it comes to agroforestry, maybe I'm just trying to feed some ideas to you. Maybe a project could be developed regarding agroforestry, reforestation activity, a garden, some form of a garden where you're trying to develop some form of a mini forest. You would see, some of you might have seen that in some locations, you have seen that there are trees that have been planted. These trees actually might have been planted by the Forestry Division of the Ministry of Agriculture. Why these trees have been planted? You have the reasons here in front of you. Now, biogas production in livestock farms, that is dairy farms, poultry farms, the waste from cow dung, the waste from poultry farms. These wastes may be collected and through microbial activities, one byproduct of fermentation of animal waste is what we call methane gas. What is methane gas? It is simply the gas that you use for cooking. The gas at home that you use for cooking is methane gas. There are farms, dairy farms, that produce this methane gas that eventually they can use for cooking. They can use as gas for cooking. That is biogas production. Okay, livestock waste, crop waste, wastewater, food waste, or biogas can also be produced from this schematic diagram that you're seeing right now. It is a way how car fuel is produced, methane, biomethane, okay? How fertilizers are produced, okay, through animals, crops, wastewater, food waste. Now, through anaerobic digestion, that is in the absence of oxygen, biogas is produced. This biogas may be used to generate electricity. This biogas may be used as biomethane, as core fuel. I'm just giving you ideas. Okay, some other novel concepts related to integrated farming. Nowadays, people have been talking about vertical farming. What has happened is that over the years, the new generation of the youth, ben jeunes aujourd'hui, ne sont pas tellement intéressés au travail dans la culture, le soleil, fatigué, transpiré. Okay? The youth are more interested in either white-collar jobs or they want to become entrepreneurs. So one way to become an entrepreneur, to become recognized as an entrepreneur, instead of working in the open field, one way to optimize, to increase productivity per unit area is to embark in vertical farming. These are long tubular plastic projections whereby the crops grow upwards. What you can see in the picture right here. Anyone has an idea what is it here on the picture? You can still put it on chat if you have an idea. What is there on the picture? No one? Yes, thank you, Marie-Joyce. It's actually bell pepper. And I was laying emphasis on that. In under vertical farming, also known as tuboponic, aeroponic, all these are concepts of vertical farming. Per unit area, you can produce lots of them. So you're enhancing upon productivity. Yes, thank you, Siwabaku. On the left, what you see is some form of a highly demanded lettuce. You'll get that in some supermarkets. I've seen it. Thank you, Mr. Baku. Okay, what you see here is actually a non-commercial. Okay, I won't be tempted to say non-commercial. It's a what we call backyard aquaponic. So it might be an idea of a project that you can promote, that you can develop. We have at the level of the FARE, we have the know-how, we have the personnel who can guide you. So what you're seeing here is some form of a backyard aquaponic that you can develop to produce your own food, or maybe to produce surplus food that you can use to get some form of additional income for yourselves. We also, besides promoting vertical farming, we are also promoting backyard aquaponic, and definitely right now a new trend in the industry, in the agricultural industry, in agro industry, is that of commercial aquaponics. As you can see, in aquaponics, you can produce several crops at the same time. There are less diseases. Again, as you can see, there are several types of lettuce, greens that are being produced, high-valued greens that are produced under commercial aquaponics. Okay, again, here it's an innovative idea about here it's not backyard aqua, but backyard hydroponics. This one is an innovative concept such that the material used for production is the bamboo. Okay, it's the bamboo that is being used for production. Okay, regarding integrated farming at the level of FARE, we also have techniques, trainings that we offer in regard to pickling, dehydrated onions that you can see, pickles, etc. All these are concepts of integrated farming along the what we call the value chain. Likewise, in an integrated farm, some people might be producing, instead of livestock, they can also produce a combination of fruits and vegetables. Some fruits that are fairly popular in Mauritius, that are highly remunerative. You have the strawberry, you have the banana, lychee, melon. Until lately, we have the pitaya and pineapple that you all like. Now, further down the integrated farming concept, for people who have dairy enterprises, one form of value addition, one form of integrated farming activity is that of milk derivatives, the production of yogurt, ghee, paneer. Until recently, you can see in supermarkets another very interesting product that I like is that called the kefir. So these are value added products, cooked meat products, already seasoned, etc. Bacon. Yeah, earlier I was making mention of compost making. Compost can be produced at home. Farmers, I better tell you, based on the survey that I've done, farmers, they actually require a lot of compost. They are looking for people who can provide them with compost, as compost are rich in nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium that make crops grow. Composting can be made through kitchen waste, poultry waste, market waste, other types of composting techniques that we have commercial composting, vermicomposting, and backyard composting. What you can see right here are forms of backyard compost making. Through backyard gardening, what you can do, the remains that you get from your garden, the remains that you get from household operation, what you can do, you can compost them to, you can convert them to compost. Compost can be used to fertilize the flowers that you have, the ferns, fougere that you may have at home. Here you can see kitchen waste, leaves, cow dung. Though we barely have cows in the backyard nowadays. Now, there are some equipment that are at times required to facilitate composting activities. Such equipment could be what we call composters that facilitate composting activities. We do have composters. How to produce composters, we do provide training at FARE. You have the drum composter, tumbler composter. Vermicomposting relates to the use of, anyone knows what is vermicomposting? Look at the, okay, actually we have it there. It is the production of compost by using worms. I repeat, vermicomposting relates to the making of compost by the use of worms. Okay, I forgot to mention about the atemoya fruit, which is in high demand nowadays. Pitaya, I mentioned earlier. And with that comes the end of my presentation. What you can see here are the contact numbers of the Food and Agricultural Research and Extension Institute. The picture that you're seeing here, it is the head office situated in Rejui. You can call on the 465 10 11. You can also ask for myself, Mr. Jaim, for assistance should you wish to. There are other phone numbers available. And with that, my presentation comes to an end. Thank you. You may ask questions should you wish to. I'm open to questions from the participants.
So any questions for Mr. Ojayeb? Trainers? I can't find any questions on our chat box as well. I guess we don't have any more questions or queries for Dr. Ojayeb. Thank you so much, Rashish,
Thank you,
for
Mr.
the nice presentation. Actually, it was very insightful. Even we learned a lot of things actually about vermicomposting and the different types of agricultural practices that can be made at home. So I think our trainers have got very good information and enlightenment about how they can proceed with their projects for InnovEd. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be
proceeding. I think just one minute, Mr. Videsi.
Sure.
I think we have one question from Belrose SSS. How can we start this as a business?
Yes.
To start it as a business, you have myself and the team from the business development unit at the level of FARE to assist you, to guide you. There are also training available at the level of FARE. Now, if I am to understand, my question is to Belrose SSS. Are you referring to composting? When you ask, how can we start this as a business? Are you referring to composting? If you are indeed referring to composting, I would rather add that at the Mauritius Turf Club, I won't mention the name of the person. One person made a big enterprise based on the collection of wastes from horse. I repeat, from horse waste, he produced quite a vast amount of compost that he would sell to households, residents, citizens, and farmers. And his business did function pretty well. So how we can help you at the level of FARE is that we can provide you with training, we can provide you with manuals, free manuals, how to produce compost, even at the backyard level, how to produce what we call a composter. We can provide you with training on that, how to produce a composter that you can use to produce compost at your residence in the backyard. So we have the business development team, you have myself, and our what we call the extension officers. They are field officers who are going to help you in the technical assistance to produce compost. Now, there's one question from Mr. Balgobin: which farming is the most efficient, aquaponics or hydroponics? When it comes to efficiency, this is highly subjective because hydroponics is there established. But there's one thing: if you want to venture in hydroponics, one prerequisite would be that you will need to identify your market, because the hydroponics sector within the agro industry, it's well established. If you were to embark in hydroponics, so please do identify your markets first, then you venture in that, because it's quite costly, hydroponics. for a structure of 300 meters square, it can cost you up to 800,000 rupees, though within 1 to 1.5 years of operation, you will recoup your investment and make profits. But then there is aquaponics. For aquaponics, the profit potential is huge. Again, aquaponics costs a lot. If you on trial basis, you may, in the first instance, try to invest in a backyard aquaponics system to gain some knowledge, to gain some experience in how to make aquaponics function properly. Because in aquaponics, you're producing plants in synergy with maybe fish, maybe prawns, freshwater fish like carp, berry rouge. You could be producing prawns, which are in very high demand within Mauritian citizens. So you will get income from freshwater fish, from freshwater prawns. You'll get income from that. Actually, it is the waste from the prawns and the waste from the fish that is assimilated by the crops that make the crops grow. And I repeat that aquaponics, the profit potential, I repeat that aquaponics, the profit potential is pretty interesting, even higher than, I would say, even much higher than hydroponics. I would invite you, Mr. Balgobin Ramprasad, or rather say Mrs. Balgobin Ramprasad, for further information, if you could liaise with me. My email address is economist@fare. I'm trying to put it. I don't have the option to chat, I think. ECONOMIST arrobas. Okay, I have it. This. I've just shared with you my email address for further information about the cost, the way forward, how to proceed with a backyard aquaponics system, or even a commercial aquaponics system. I would invite you to send me an email. I'll be very glad to help you. Okay, I'll come back to, if that answers your question, Mrs. Balgobin Ramprasad, hopefully. I've tried to, in the little amount of time that I have, to probe you about the potential, but further details, I would propose that we have a face-to-face meeting, or maybe an phone conversation to begin with. Yeah, I'm open to further questions. Should there be any need for clarifications?
Maybe we don't have any questions at the moment, Vashish. Well, I think you've got a last one here.
Yeah, I have a last one from Mehtab Bukhat, representative of La Bourdonnais College. The question says, which method of modern farming is more profitable? I would go with aquaponics. I would go with aquaponics. Actually, aquaponics is the future of the agricultural sector in Mauritius. Yes. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Balgobin. Thank you.
Thank you, Vashish, for all this enlightenment. That was very interesting, actually.